The message. So welcome to those of you. I'm Shanti. If you haven't tuned in before on YouTube, my name's Shailen. I'm a student of the London Centre, and we're just chit-chatting some topics of Baba's knowledge. And I was just saying how drama puts us in, I think, the situations we need to be in to get to our karmatic stage. And for some Brahmins, that's in the Lokik world, Lokik family. For other Brahmins, it's in a center situation. But we need souls who have been seeing that tougher side of the Lokik world, and they develop certain qualities. Then we also need souls who are innocent of all of that, and they don't have those traumas, and maybe from a young age they go and live in a center, so they have that purity. All of that is valuable as well. And I just think what Baba was saying in the message through Sister Mohini on Thursday was see everything as an opportunity. And it's just an opportunity to apply Baba's knowledge. And obviously, we're always going to feel that we want things to be a little bit easier, a little bit different. But what Baba says is that the drama is actually going to be the other way around. And so as the Iron Age culminates, everyone's life is going to get more difficult. And if we look at it that way, say, for example, you and I have another birth still at this time. We don't know, right? And what we can't see that, you see, but drama sees the long continuum. And the challenges that you've faced and you've developed your power to accommodate, your power to tolerate, your power to discern, and so on, that might all be for the circumstances to come. I was talking with one of my colleagues once, and he was from Peru, I think, and he had come as a child asylum seeker to Germany. And then he went through the system in Germany, and then he became a professor at Oxford University. So a great story. But he was saying to me that he's seen many children, because they've not had that sort of adversity, that when troubles come, they don't have the resilience. Now, you, for example, you could take another birth, and everyone will see, okay, well, this is a child, this is a young person. They're actually a very experienced soul. And to see this experience, it will be all subconscious. You'll have Baba's 8 powers accumulated, virtues accumulated, wisdom accumulated. And so when, as Iron Age unravels, spirals to its climax, you're going to be much more ready for that. And subconsciously, it's going to help you a lot. So you can then be a support for many others. I often think that about myself as well. So it's been quite a tricky childhood background and all sorts of many challenges. We have a lot of mental health issues in my Lokik family. And so, Baba's helped me to heal. I think healing has been the most important thing for me, emotional healing, just being very authentic, no point pretending to be something you're not. The key thing is the healing and the cleaning for me. And I look back now, and there were so many points in my journey where I say to Baba, how come I ended up in this circumstance? Could you not have helped me out more? And now I'm probably towards the other end of the healing. Gone, probably most of the healing is done. Probably. This is why I keep saying as well, just keep going, keep persevering. It's been Baba's message as well. It was in yesterday's Morally Again, just keep going. Your karmic accounts will come, illnesses inside of you will come out. But I can speak from the other side now, probably, that a lot of it's occurred, and I'm feeling this deep sense of satisfaction that's sort of at the other end of the healing. And I mean, I don't know what's going to come in my drama in the future, but it's the end of the Iron Age, so it's not going to be easy. It's just not. And what Baba is saying is, can you be in that stage of happiness while all these things are happening? He said the other day that he's observing how at the end the Brahmins' faces will just be in happiness even when the bombs are falling on them. And this is it. He emphasized it again in today's morning, that your happiness should be there no matter what happens. And we can only do that once we're healed, because any trauma inside of us gets triggered by situations. And Baba's been talking this week about the trauma of death, hasn't he? That how in the golden age, you just don't even have it at all. So you don't have any fear of death. Because if you don't have the trauma, you don't have the experience of a loss, you don't fear death. Whereas for us, like, death is just natural, but because of the experience of loss, it's a trauma for us. It becomes a fear. Similarly with many other things. So what is happening now is you've got Brahmins going through all sorts of different experiences and reaching a point where they're having to use the 8 powers. You know, there's no choice because these circumstances require it. One of the things I think is interesting is how Mama and the daddies and the dadas have also all been sent back into the world to take another birth. And it's interesting how souls who have proven themselves in the Brahmin world also now have to go into the Lokik world, whereas Brahma Baba didn't. And one thing Shiv Baba says in the Murali is, I take an experienced chariot. He's already experienced. 5 children, building a business. It was a single dad. His mum died when he was 3. We know the story. So he had already sort of developed his personality, although he was the youngest of 3 brothers, he was like the eldest of the 3. So he was taking a lot of responsibility right across. His other brothers were not as successful as him. And Dada Vishwakishore, who was his right-hand man, was actually his elder brother's son. And Brahma Baba, before knowledge, when he was Dada Lekraj, had set him up in business. So he trained with Dada Lekraj, also became a jeweler, and set up his own business like that. So, this is someone who's dealt with a big family. He's dealt, multiple. I mean, you're from a big family as well, so the big extended family, lots of things, and then running a business can't be easy. I mean, he built it from scratch, so it can't be easy. So, Shiv Baba says, I've taken an experienced chariot. And Brahma Baba didn't need to go back into the old world to prove himself at all, to use the 8 powers, to become even more resilient. And when I think of souls like you, Lynette Ben, you know that when I hear in the Murali about the mothers in front of Baba in the 60s, and Baba says there were some who were in bondage, some facing all sorts of adversities, some who were illiterate, many other different challenges, different restrictions upon them. And probably most of them have left that body now. And then I look at brothers and sisters who live in Madhuban, live in centers. They're quite young, a lot of them. They've sort of been brought up, they came as children. And in this life, they've not had difficulties. And I think, well, actually, probably they did in their previous life, that they probably already cleared it a lot and accumulated and developed these powers. So they're like ready-made. And we shouldn't be looking at a person limited by a body. We should be looking at a soul who has probably learnt a lot previously. And there's a couple of moralities where you can sort of guess the conversation happening, where when Mama was unwell with cancer since the age of 39, and these daddies were very pure, like from a very young age, people were feeling their purity. And when Baba was falling ill with diabetes and heart disease and so on, we had the morally this week about heart failure is the best way to go, because Baba was about 92 at the time and he had angina. So he was thinking along those lines. So people would say, well, we can understand for Brahma Baba because he had all these children, he had become impure. Obviously, he'll have karmic account. But they used to say, Mama, she was like an incarnation of purity. And they said to Baba, but how come she develops this sort of illnesses? And Baba's comment in the morally is, well, she probably performed a lot of sins in her previous life. But, and it's this thing that we don't know, like previous lives. So when we look at Brahmins now, we see they're living in the center, they're obstacle free. I wish I had a life like that. Oh, I wish I had a circumstance like that. But we're not seeing the continuum. And actually, they're probably in the center because they've already done the household bits. They've already done the Lokik family. Then those daddies, they're now in the back in the Lokik. So they're developing something else. They're learning something else. Drama is teaching them and molding them in another way as well. And they're contributing. So, as I say, I think there's this saying in England, the grass is always greener on the other side. But I just don't think that's wise for us to look at it that way. I think the way Baba and Drama would teach us to look at it is we don't know each one's journey. We don't know even our own journey. But Baba knows. Drama knows. And he says to us, live moment by moment. Use the 3 points. Don't dwell on the past. Don't worry about the future. Just live in your present moment and trust that you've got a journey which will take you to your destination. Baba said this morning, I am the boatman. I am the gardener. I am the master of the garden. I am the liberator. So you don't need to worry. I'm going to get you. Do you want to come back on that? What do you think?
I believe once we give our lives up to Baba and have him in control, we are fine. Although I'm being pulled in so many directions, I'm never upset and I'm never unhappy. It's just the only thing is I have this inner, how should I put it, grief that I'm not able to do more in Baba's work. Like, all the traumas and all the difficulties going on in the world, I like to do meditation for world healing. That's my thing, Mansa Seva. I say that's something I could do and I really wish I could do it. But sometimes you sit down to do Seva and you're so tired that you want to fall asleep. But during the day, I believe the more hurdles you meet, the more you remember Baba. Because you say, I would say, Baba, okay, all is it in drama. You are with me. You're doing this with me. I have no problems. Once with me, I have no problems at all. So I do it in a state of contentment, a state of happiness. You cook in happiness, you clean in happiness, you do everything, you do errands in happiness because Baba is there with you. And the only thing is to sit down in that deep yoga that you want to be in. You want to spend that time just in deep yoga for your own purification. And that's where my hurdle is, because when I sit to do that, I am so tired, sometimes I'll fall asleep. And
yes, I understand what you mean.
That grief or that longing to have that time for you to be able to do that.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. So I think the challenge in that circumstance is, how do we develop greater quality when we are fresh? So, of course, our Amrit Vela is our main time. And why Baba wants us to remember at that time is we are more fresh. The problem with evening yoga, as you say, is that we can be so tired. We're more likely to fall asleep in the evening. But I think the challenge is something about how do we generate that extra power and develop that extra absorption ability within the shorter frame of yoga that we're able to sit. And on Thursday in the Bhog message from Om Shanti Bhavan, Baba reminded me of something that came up in the Muralis a few months ago. And I'd noted it then and then forgotten it. And then now I won't forget again. And what he was saying was that the point is the more that you practice the point, being a point, Shiv Baba the point, and then applying the point, you will be unlocking a great deal of power. And what he was saying to us is don't just think of yourself as a point, but really experience the power of the point and increase your feeling and concentration of the point. So I think that this will be more of the challenge. It's something I'm working on as well. So when we're sitting in the morning, there are Muralis where Baba says, spend at least 5 or 10 minutes of Amrit Vela just practicing being a point and concentrating, being a point with Baba. You the point, Baba the point, that's it. And then what I'm working on is during the day, talking to the point, seeing the point, talking to the point. So as I'm talking with you now, I'm just reminding myself to look at my brother's soul in the forehead. And that's a different point form. So that's the point form there. And that is Mansa Seva. So there's one Murali from I think it was the New Year Murali of 95. 1995-96, Baba celebrated as the Diamond Jubilee year. 1936 was when Shiv Baba started everything. So 1996 was 60 years. So it was the Diamond Jubilee, and Baba decided to celebrate it as the year of becoming a diamond. And there's a line in that Murali which is very profound. And he's saying that your drishti, your vision as Brahmins, has a lot of power. And he was saying that even if you meet a soul who inside is very impure, so they're dark like coal, but your job is to find the diamond inside of them. And as you look at the diamond inside of them, their darkness will reduce. And it was just very powerful. And we heard this from Baba earlier this week, that how Baba changes us through his vision, through his drishti. It was in the video Murali, I think, on Wednesday and also on Sunday, that Baba just looks at the diamond within all of us. And it's just very positive, very focused. So there's this service through drishti that is Mansa Seva. And what Baba is saying to us is that actually you don't need any extra time. You need to focus on your karma yoga. You need to develop that concentration. And this is probably the thing that I admire in Sister Jayanti. So this is the thing, that one thing I know that she has focused on is this vision of seeing the soul. She's done it for decades. So she was sharing that in around about 1976, 1977. She first began keeping a chart of how many minutes in the day she was looking at the soul. And she was doing it like in an hour, just checking every hour. And when it shocked her, she found that it was like 5 minutes or something. And so when you do that, you realize that 55 minutes have gone and you've not really looked at the soul. So she has consciously then done this for decades. And she's developed this divinity inside of her because of this practice, I think, above everything else. And so I think I've seen it with, say, Brother Atam Prakash in Madhaban as well. It's a thing that I admire about both of these souls is this practice they have devoted themselves to. About 15, 20 years ago, I was talking with Brother Atam Prakash, who in those days he was looking after the Toli department, and many double foreigners know him through that. I'm not sure what he does now. Probably does a few other things now. And he was saying that he had this experience. Baba had come around that time to meet the Madhaban Nivasis just before or after the season. And they were meeting in Om Shanti Bhavan. And when Baba first came into Dedi Gozar's body, he was giving drishti around the hall. And then when Baba looked at him, he felt this light come inside of him. And he now had that permanent ability to see the soul in the forehead. And he was telling me that he spent 10 years just focusing on seeing the point, and it was like a reward. He was just very determined. And then it was like Baba saw 10 years, he's made that conscious effort, and it was as if he just got a bonus. And then he didn't, he didn't have to try anymore. So I keep both of them in front of me for this practice. I know that Sister Jayanti has genuinely, sincerely tried. So she has always kept attention to never waste any time, and so she'll keep herself busy, like from morning until night, often talking with people, meeting people. So she would always say she never had time to sit in yoga. But how was she accumulating? So it was this practice. So I think for all of us, like you, I have some days where, because my routine tends to be I wake up for Amrit Vela and then we hear Morally at 5 o'clock. And usually our Morally class finishes around about 6 a.m. And then I record the classes usually, which takes me to about 7, quarter to 7, something like that, both in English and in Hindi. And then sometimes I need to have breakfast and then get going and catching the train in the morning. So when I come home in the evening, I've had a couple of times in the last 2 weeks where the 7 o'clock, I usually like to put the Tower of Peace stream on the YouTube and then have my evening yoga in front of the Tower of Peace. And I caught myself twice in the last 2 weeks beginning to doze off because I was tired from my day. But what I had kept attention on was my train journey yoga. My train journey yoga. So in fact, once or twice in the train journey, I was feeling a bit sleepy as well. But I was keeping the attention that the moments I get, I've got 25 minutes on this train. Let me have that meditation. I think I've mentioned to you all before that I try and split my day into 3. So until 12:30 or 12:30, I have yoga for myself. From 12 until 5:30, I have yoga for the Brahmin. So any yoga that says for all the Brahmin family. Then after 5:30, it's for all the other souls of the world. And I find it like, it's just quite a bit loose, but it's like, it just helps me to just remind myself, oh yeah, I'm meant to be having yoga for, why am I wasting time? I got to have yoga for the Brahmins. Come on, think about others. Don't just be thinking about yourself. So in the morning, any yoga I have, it's for maybe my physical health, situations in my Lokik life, anything. So removing obstacles, bringing success, and it's just taking Baba's blessings, applying Baba's energy to all of those circumstances. Yoga for Ranjan Ben's health and her situations and anything like that. So I call that sort of semi-self, it's like a selfishness within, mixed within all of that. Then the afternoon, we have a responsibility towards each other because, of course, Baba, Mama, the daddies, many others have had yoga for me to get me where I am. Without their yoga, we were nowhere. So there's a lot of subtle help. You know, Baba mentions it in the Murali that these angels are helping you from the subtle regions there. So we've got a responsibility because there's something that's a phrase in the world, which I think is a really nice one, that often you can't pay someone back. So say a stranger helps you out. Sometimes you don't even know who they are. You never see them again. So the saying is, you can't pay back. You must pay forward. And that's how I see yoga, that we can't really pay back Mama and Baba. They don't need our yoga. The daddies don't need our yoga. We can't pay back, but we can pay forward. You know, the Brahmins that are here now, the Brahmins that are to come, we can have yoga for them. And so I keep two thoughts in my mind, that I have to remove obstacles from all Brahmins' path, and all Brahmins should be the embodiment of success in whatever thoughts they have. And so I might be on the train in the afternoon and I got 30 minutes. That's my world meditation time. Again, I'm walking from my office to the bus station or to the train station. That's my time. That's my time for yoga. I don't have anything else to think about. And if it's in the afternoon, it's for the Brahmins. If it's in the evening, I can't get out of my mind brothers and sisters in Ukraine. And I mean, there are many. It's just constant. We only know a little bit through the news, but it's just so many souls having so many difficulties. I heard this morning there was a mine explosion in Turkey and 28 people died. I mean, it's just continuous. So many brother souls need help. And a category that sometimes we forget, that I try and keep in mind, are the souls who've already left their bodies and they haven't got another body yet, because where sometimes you have untimely death, your next body's not ready yet. So there's some souls, they end up in an in-between. It must be quite frightening. So Baba says they wander around for a little bit until the next body is ready. And so Baba says, you've got to liberate such souls. You've got to give them the donation of peace. And then there are the souls who are like, I was thinking of the brothers and sisters who had storm damage in Florida, and there was a lot of flooding in Pakistan. And, you know, in those circumstances, your mind has to have a lot of resilience, has to take good decisions. And Baba says, you're going to have to fill them with 8 pounds. And they don't know Baba. They're not able to draw the 8 pounds. You've got to just sit and fill them. So anything in the evening, usually I cook in the evening. I tend to eat at about 8:30, something like that. So my evening time might be just preparing a simple meal. So that yoga is for all of these souls. So sister, I would say that world meditation is not really about sitting at all. In fact, all of our karma yoga is really for the world. And then wherever you are, you have to create the atmosphere. So some brothers and sisters are in offices, or like I said, you could be in a train carriage, you could be in your house, you could be in a grocery store. And what Baba says is that you must stay in Baba's remembrance. And then you're generating the 8 powers into the atmosphere. So how it works is, say you're in a grocery store and you're remembering Shiv Baba. You're saying, Shiv Baba, come on. You're my companion, you're my brother, you're my sister. Let's go shopping. So you're keeping Baba with you, remembering Baba. And Ranjan Ben had 5 brothers and no sisters. So she used to, I think she used to keep Baba as a sister as well. Come, let's do something together. And you're then creating the 8 powers into that atmosphere of the grocery store. So whoever's in that grocery store, as they walk through your vibration, whatever is the 8 power they need, it just enters them. So that's how it works. It's almost like there's like a cloud, like an invisible cloud of 8 powers that you're creating, and they're just walking through and getting what they need. So I wouldn't worry, sister, about feeling tired in the evening and regretting that. I think we all just have to develop our concentration in karma yoga.
Sure. And as you're talking, brother, I know all that you say, it's correct, because I keep him with me all the time, whatever I do. And while we were talking, I'm sure that Baba is listening, because I could feel this electricity in my body so many times as we're talking. So
Yeah.
I know that Baba's presence is here with all of us.
Exactly. I always feel when we meet, I can feel, and Daddy Janki used to say that when Brahmins gather, Babdada becomes present. So it's amazing how he can do that. Physical proximity is not important, but it's like we all get emerged in the subtle region, I think, in our subtle form. So I definitely feel Baba very powerfully as we have these gatherings. And like you, I could feel, this is why I just, I never feel like I am teaching or doing, just for me, it's just like, okay, I just got to stay with Baba, and then Baba will guide the intellect to have the right thought and give the right explanation and just share on behalf of Baba his knowledge. That's all. It's not like, because Baba is the one actually there doing everything. So yeah, this absolutely keeping Baba as the combined in the combined form, and then practicing our vision. But Baba, Ben, you've come on the screen. Would you like to come in?
Yeah, Shanti, everyone.
Shanti.
That point that the sister was raising about feeling tired, I also experienced that and used to feel really bad about it. Because doing night duty, sometimes I'm up hard to sleep in the daytime. So I'm up at like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And that's the time I do my Amit Vela very
Yeah,
early.
good.
Get in a couple of hours to compensate for the evening. And this morning, Baba was talking about Amit Vela time in the Murli. So that's one of the things that I try to do, keep the early morning as powerful as I can. And thanks for reminding me about being the point and focusing on that point. And the point is very powerful. Most times I just envision Baba is giving me drishti at Amritsar, and I'm taking so much through that drishti. But I like to reinforce the point because I do believe that that's the essence, the point. So yeah, in the evenings I tend to doze off myself, but I'm glad you mentioned, not feeling too bad about it and how to utilize your daytime in doing Mansa Seva as well. Thank you.
I think so. I mean, I didn't do night shifts for very long. It was like, I think when I was a student and just doing some sort of temporary work, and I did a few night shifts because you get a bit more money. And you can't do it. It just kills you. I mean, because no matter what, you wake up and can't really sleep properly in the day, throws your body clock. So I have a lot of sympathy. I just found myself constantly exhausted. So I think you're doing the right thing. That it's very good advice. If you are doing night duty, then better that when you finish your duty, you sit with Baba then for a little while, whether that's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whatever it is, and then have sleep, get yourself in a good condition in the day and just use it that way and figure it out. And then I don't think you can blame yourself for feeling tired, because the body is also like an organism. It has its own needs as well, and sleep is very, very important for the body and for health. So we got to allow that. We need the body's cooperation. But it sounds like you're doing exactly the right thing. And then with the point, what Baba was saying in that Borg message on Thursday was, one thing, if you notice, Sister Shashi, she brings back these images of the crystal quite a lot. I think that's come up quite a lot this year. And in English, we have this saying, crystal clear, and it's this connotation between internal clarity. So what Baba was showing was like a stick with a crystal on it. And each Brahmin, depending on their practice of being in the point form, they were generating either powerful light or slightly flickering light. And what Baba is saying is that actually just keep concentrating. So as you practice seeing the point, being the point, remembering the point, what you're doing is you're using the power to pack up, aren't you? That's basically what you do, because you're concentrating your mind on the essence. And the essence has power. It came in the Murali 2 weeks ago that why don't you just look at the point in the forehead? Then you won't see anyone's nose, anyone's ears. And I'm assuming someone in the audience there said to Baba that I start off trying to see the soul in the forehead. And then I'm looking at someone and I'm thinking, haven't they got a big nose? Or haven't they got big ears? Yeah, so we can have some funny sanskars, can't we? Yeah, these silly thoughts, not even negative or wasteful thoughts, silly thoughts. Because when I heard that point, I could imagine Baba in the gathering just chuckling away. But, Baba said that if you look at the point, you won't see anyone's nose. It was like a funny thing for Baba to say, but I'm assuming it was part of the conversation. And what Baba is saying is that this is what Brahma Baba and Mama did. I've shared this story with you all before that Brother Nevere shares. So he was a young man when he came to Baba's knowledge, and him and Brother Ramesh were like two of the main young Kumars of Mumbai in the early 60s. And Mama was staying there for her health treatments for a while. And Pepsi had put up the first neon sign in India, in Mumbai, in about 1963. And it was of a glass and a Pepsi bottle. So the glass filled, so it was a moving thing, quite new, quite novel in those days. And so both of them were quite excited by this. And you'll hear the Muralis where Baba's very keen on big pictures, shouting about the knowledge, basically. Like Baba says, make 12-feet pictures of the cycle. Children have no imagination. Otherwise, they have no ambition. Otherwise, they'd go and make big pictures. There's this narrative in the Murali. So seeing that, they were quite excited. And they thought, let's take Mama to go and see this. And maybe we could have a picture of the cycle or something like that, of Baba there, and do it like that. And they took Mama, and Mama became Karmatit in 65, so she would have been close to that stage by then. And they said, look, Mama, I wanted to show you this. And Mama just said, okay. And then she said, but for Mama, this world doesn't exist. And it was like, whenever I said, it completely just shook. It was like this, that just realizing that when you've just practiced seeing the point over a long period of time, you're so stable in the essence, the rest just doesn't exist anymore. And so what Baba is saying for Baba and Mama, like seeing the body, like Shiv Baba never sees the body in the first place anyway. Like, so he's always talking to soul. Brahma Baba practiced, Mama practiced, and they became so good at staying in the essence that the rest just doesn't exist anymore. Like, who are you talking to? What do you mean someone's died? And so you can see the foundation for the golden age. There's no such thing as death. What are you talking about? And so when you're in the essence, it's powerful. and there's natural disinterest. There's a lot of energy accumulated. So Baba's saying then the light of that crystal for some Brahmins was spreading very powerful. And Baba's saying you're underestimating actually how much power you could generate through being the point.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Shanti, Malaban, Maria Ban, hope you're well. Would either of you like to come in with anything?
Shanti, I just wanted to add that, I find these sessions extremely powerful and take so much sustenance. So thank you for the wonderful sharing. I just had a question, actually. I think it was a couple of sessions ago where you had mentioned these 4 stages, with the Janki had mentioned the karmatit, complete birth, and the farishta. So just like some clarity on these 4 stages, if possible.
I think it's something we can all churn on. So it was, I can remember the day, Monday the 3rd of September 1995. Lady Janki came to our house to give a class, and do you remember? And Ranjan Ben. So I'd asked Daddy, how come Mama became Karmatit before Brahma Baba? And Daddy's, you see, one of the things which Daddy wanted to communicate to all of us was how precious and significant Brahma Baba is. And you see, Brahmins always, of course, understand Shiv Baba because that's everyone's foundation. But for many Brahmins, it can be like, well, we should be forgetting Brahma. And we hear that in the Murali as well. Brahma Baba said, don't remember this Brahma. You won't get any inheritance from this Brahma, only inheritance from Shiv Baba. And so you do get this narrative among Brahmins of, well, Brahma is just a man, and it can be like that. But for Daddy, both of them, well, she had this recognition of both of them, which she wanted to convey. And so I remember her body language when I asked this. It was very quite passionate. And she said, Karmatit, Avyakt, Sampuran, Farishta, Ek. That there's only one who's Karmatit, Avyakt, complete, and an angel. And it's this complete angel. So what we say about all Brahmins is that we have this angelic form in the subtle region. Baba reminds us about this, and he says you have to become that. And it was Daddy Gulzar who first saw Brahma's angelic form in the 1940s. And we know about that story, she tells us, and then she told, eventually, whoever was her teacher told Mama, she told Mama, Mama told Baba, Baba said, come and tell me about it. So since Brahma Baba became aware that there was an angelic Brahma in the subtle region, he began making effort keeping that Brahma in his mind. And so already they were feeling that angelic form within Brahma Baba, but it was becoming that complete angel. And so what we have to, I think, aspire towards is this stage of the complete angel, becoming completely avyakt. So we use this term, avyakt Brahma, for the Brahma who has never now taken rebirth. As I was mentioning the other week, that is completely remarkable. And it was in that same class where Daddy went on to say, I think it was just immediately after she made this comment, she said that the way in which Brahma Baba is coming with Shiv Baba into Daddy Gulzar's body, that coming and going, she said Mama wouldn't be able to do that. And I mean, I look back now I would ask her why, but I didn't ask her why at that point. So we'd have to chain ourselves now. And it was I think it was an interesting comment. And I think with these daddies who've gone into the advanced party, we know that some of them did become karmatit. I've not heard him use the word karmatit for all of them either. But for certainly most of them, I've heard him use the word with Mama, with Dada Vishwakishore, with Didi Manmohini, Dadi Prakashmani, Dadi Janki, Dadi Kulza. I've heard him use it. With, say, Dada Vishwaratan, I've heard him use the word Bap Saman. With Dadi Chandramani, she was ever ready, but I'm not sure that word karmatit. So I've only actually even heard the word karmatit with 6 or 7, like that. But that doesn't mean that they're not. It's just he's not used the word. So I don't know for sure. But if we think even to become karmatit is something. And when Didi left, there's a Murali where Baba says that Didi appears in the subtle region. So that was when it was after Didi became karmatit, Baba began referring to souls coming back into the subtle region in an angelic form, even when the soul is in another body. And I've forgotten the date of the Murali. We'll look it up near at the time of Didi's day next year. But Baba talks about how a karmatit soul's mind is able to be in more than one place. So there's something, some subtlety that gets unlocked. Because it's like there's like a weight of karma that pulls our mind, isn't there? And we feel that in our day-to-day. Say, for example, you're clearing some karmic account. And it can be a little thing someone has said, someone has done, but because it's a karmic account, it dominates your mind. You can't get it out of your mind. And rationally, you shouldn't even be thinking about it. But it's triggered something inside of you because it's a karmic account. And so if we contrast that with the karmatit stage, the mind wouldn't need to be absorbed in things. So there's a freedom that the mind has. There's not a subconscious burden that's being triggered. There's not a trauma that's being triggered. So I'm assuming that with these karmatit souls, their subconscious mind is completely clear. And it's able to stay in the subtle region. So, and their conscious mind is there with the soul in their next birth, and they're playing another role. But most of us is the subconscious mind, because like you and I are sitting here, I am sitting in whatever number birth. It'll be towards the end of my birth, but it'll be whatever number birth. But in my subconscious mind, I've got all the previous 83 or whatever births, right? In my conscious mind, I can only tell you about this life. So most of my mind is my subconscious mind, isn't it? So I think the karmatit soul is the soul who no longer has any burden of all of those past births influencing that anymore. And that's most of the mind. So Baba is saying that for those souls, they're just appearing as angels in the subtle region. But there's only one soul where the soul is in the subtle. There's only one Brahma in the subtle region, actually. Prajapita. So the Avyakt, complete angel. You know, it's Adam who is the angel. It is, you know, he is Adam, he is Prajapita. So that's actually very unique. And Shiv Baba has told us from the first day, actually, from the very first Avyakt Murali, that he's decided to keep Brahma in the subtle region to sustain all the children. He's made it very clear the sustenance is still through Brahma for all the Brahmins right until the end. That is the role. This is the mother soul of all the Brahmins. So that's my understanding. That's just my churnings on it. So I can't be totally sure. I think for all of us, our target is to become karmati. But we probably will not, after becoming karmati, just stay in the subtle region. We might have a few days there. So when we were reading Daddy Prakash Mini's Borg messages, he said in there, didn't he, that he's going to keep her there for 12 or 13 days, I think it was. And then she would go into her next birth. When Jagdish Bhai left the body as well, Baba kept him for about that same sort of time. So we can be there for a few days. I think he kept Mama for 3 months in the subtle. So it's a bit longer. But he didn't tell the Brahmins that she's gone into another body for 3 years. It was only after Dada Vishwakishore left the body in 68. So you'll hear some Muralis between 65 and 68 where Baba says, your mama is also in the Santosh. Because he felt it was too much for the Brahmins to even comprehend that mama would go and take another birth. But then when Dada Vishwakishore left, then he said, well, no, the child has gone to take another birth. Oh, but Baba, we thought once we leave the body, we just go to the soul world. Oh, no. So Baba slowly began. And then, of course, more and more daddies are leaving the body. So he begins to introduce the concept of the advanced party. And Brahmins taking more than one birth. Otherwise, up until then, the narrative was of, you just have this one final birth as a Brahmin. You're going to remember Baba, and then Baba's going to take you home to the soul. So the Sister Jayanti has shared in 1 or 2 classes that in the 60s, their understanding of karmati was going to the soul. Like the soul was karmatit in the soul. But then Baba began introducing this notion that you could be karmatit down here. And then in the 80s, Baba began introducing this concept of being in the karmatit stage over a long period of time in order to become karmatit. So it's in some of the Muralis we were revising in the last 2 or 3 years, from 82, 83, 84. And around about that time, people were asking Dadi Janki about, because she was probably the most unwell Dadi. And everyone just always thought she's going to leave the body any time. And yet, so people were asking her, what's your experience? You're always falling ill. And she was saying, the thing is, inside, she felt karmati. So she was saying she didn't feel any influence. She didn't feel any sorrow. She was in that stage of inner bliss. So she began introducing, Baba began talking about it in the Muralis, and she was then describing her experience, where she felt karmati inside. And so there's this karmatit stage that we've got to develop, which is linked with self-sovereignty, with controlling power, ruling power. Where Baba is saying you're going to have to become a self-sovereign over a long period of time. And that's a karmatit stage. So Baba has been saying to us that, don't let anything influence you on the inside. It's in today's Murali as well. That the problem is there, but that's not the problem. The problem is when it's affecting you on the inside. Then it's a problem. But otherwise, it's just a paper, comes and goes. It's not a problem. So I think what Baba is saying is, it was in Sunday's Murali, that your self-sovereignty will only be developed when you develop your yoga power. So for souls like Daddy Janki, they developed a state in 1997, she didn't even know she left the body. She'd never been in trance before, so she just thought Baba was giving her an experience of trance. And Baba only told her that she's left her body after those 13 days. So, oh, you know, your body's gone now. Well, oh, okay. Because she, you know, she'd already been in that karmatic stage for a number of years. So Baba said in her final moment, which was very sudden, Baba's been talking this week about the best way to go is just you're sitting and your heart just stops. There's no long medication, no long suffering. So Daddy just went on tour from Gyan Sarovar. She was the daddy looking after Gyan Sarovar. She took leave on the 11th of March, 97. Went to Bangalore, I think it was, or Madras, Bangalore, Madras. And there she just was feeling unwell on the night of the 11th. And just sitting, she just left the body. And she had a heart attack and just left. And she had no experience of that death. She had no idea she'd left the body. For her, she was already in the subtle region. She was in constant yoga. So it wasn't any difference for her. So she had obviously been in that karmatit stage of constant yoga. So I think constant yoga is the karmatit stage. And someone who's in constant yoga for a number of decades ultimately achieves the karmatic stage in their final moment when that test comes. Such a soul passes with honor, and we had these examples with these daddies of that they just went like that in that karmatic stage. But there's only one, as Devi Janki said, that is karmatit, avyakt, complete angel. So the avyakt, complete angel is Brahma. And so he hasn't had to do any further learning through the drama. He doesn't need to learn through life anymore. He's completed all of his learning. He's completed, or he's got all of the virtues. He did it, Baba took an experienced chariot. So he's brought up families, he's helped many others, he's dealt with all sorts of issues, he's built up a business, he's shown he can use all the 8 powers. He then, of course, set up the yagya, dealt with all of that. You know, he's demonstrated in the Lokik world and in the Brahmin world the use of all of the powers, all of the virtues, all of Baba's moral points. So Shiv Baba has made him completely avyakt. He is the complete angel. So there's only one. None of us will become as glorious, as divine as this soul of Brahma. This is Adam. This is Adam. And so he is the complete angel, and he has liberated himself from rebirth for these number of decades. It's completely remarkable. And as I was saying, Daddy made the comment that day at our house that Mama wouldn't be able to come and go speak the morally with Shiv Baba for all these years. Like sometimes when the daddies are invited back on their anniversary day, they come for a little while. And I noticed on Daddy Gulzar's anniversary, Sister Vedanti was offering the bowl. And Daddy Gulzar came back, and I remember the atmosphere. I felt like Baba had come actually. And then afterwards in the message, that Vedanti Ben, she confirmed that Baba said he's coming as well. And he said to Daddy Gulzar, I'm not going to let you come for very long. You know, just going to come, I'm going to come with you. And I think it was even then in the first year. So it's like, there's maybe as drama is moving on, it's not so easy for a soul to come back into the body like that and not be influenced. So it's like Baba came with to sort of protect, I felt, protect the soul. And then just take the soul back. It's like an escort almost, taking the soul back. but the soul of Brahma was able to come into an old body, just like Shiv Baba comes into an old body, but is not influenced by the old body. And he was able to come so many times, not be influenced again by karma, not be influenced, not get pulled back into the drama to take rebirth. That is a remarkable power of Adam. So those are my thoughts on that. But I would invite you all to churn the difference. Karmatita Vyakt, complete angel.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question. Ambika Ben, great that you could join us. How are you doing?
Good, I'm good. So Sister Mira's class finished a bit early. She had another session and doing experimental yoga. So she was going to that. It was quite a nice class. Murli, of course, and then she churned a bit. And you know, one of the things she was saying that struck me is that for us to burn sins, Baba doesn't say 7 hours, 9 hours. He talks about this 8 hours of yoga, you know, and she says that is the melting point. When we sit, we have the constant remembrance. I didn't get to ask her because she seemed really busy. Because my thought was this 8 hours that we do, how do we do it? How do we go through 8 hours during the day when we are involved in activities as such? And one other point that she made that prevents us from reaching our karmatic stage is also where we have bondages, we have blockages and burden, you know, and those are the things that we really have to get rid of to be able to fly. So, but the 8 hours, I was tuning, as she was saying, how do I get that 8 hours in to reach that melting point where sins can be absolved, you know? So it's a tune. I don't know what's your thoughts on that.
Well, I would actually suggest watching the start of this video because we talked about that for the first 30 minutes. So that's good coincidence. I mean, Mira Ben is the queen of yoga experimentations, and she's really pioneered these sessions because we in Madhaban we just used to have classes all the time, didn't we? So it was really, really helpful that she pioneered all that yoga experimentation in Madhaban. So yeah, she's a real yogi. She's also come to our house in London and given a class as well back in the day. So we did talk about that in quite some length, and I think it's this practice of the 3 points. So becoming the karma yogi and seeing the point of the forehead. Well, that's the way that we accumulate the 8 powers. And I was saying how I really feel the thing I admire about Sister Jayanti is this practice. She's really devoted to that. And you can see how it develops a divinity inside of a person. Brother Atam Prakash in Madhaban, he's the other one. These are the two that I take inspiration from with this practice. So yeah, have a listen back, and that's what I'm working on. So I'm pretty confident that I'm averaging close to that, and I'm wanting to push on. Of course, the foundation is the 8 hours. The foundation is the Amrit Veda, so we've got to get that. But I wanted to focus now our session, so let's start next Saturday with this question about how do we develop our 8 hours. So let's think about it this week, practice, and then next Saturday we'll go back and talk about further methods. Today we were talking about how do we deal with tiredness, especially in the evening, or something. You know, how we're going to build our chart when we're just too tired. So we were talking about that today. It's really important to be practical, really think about, you know, how do? We hear about 8 hours. How do we do the 8 hours? It's really important. So let's think about that. Today I want to move into morally on the Trimurti lights. And, you know, these 3 points are the essence of all of our practice, the essence of all of our knowledge. Shiv Baba is the point, I am the point, Drama is the point. And I really enjoyed this reminder on Thursday from Om Shanti Bhavan, where Baba said, realize the power of the point. You can generate there is enough power inside of your soul so that you could transform sanskars really quickly. And with Mama and Baba, they didn't take time. It was an incremental process of transformation. They were able to just unlock the power of the point, and their sanskars just flipped. It just went 180 degrees. So like you're talking about melting points, there's also like a tipping point of energy where the sanskars can just be emerged, and we can just click into deity, click into angel, not having to gradually work through things. So this is what Baba is saying. And then that light is like a crystal spreading light because you're developing that clarity within. So I want to commence today this theme of light. And over the weeks, we'll explore different parts of this theme of light. I'll hand over to Ranjanben now to read a morally on this, on the Trimurti lights.
Om Shanti, good morning.
Shanti, good morning, sister.
This Avyakt Bapdada, the date is 19th June 1970, 1906, 1970. And Baba says the theoretical course has finished, and it is now the last subject of the practical course to show Trimurti lights. Trimurti is Trinity. Baba says, Brahmins are called those who belong to the clan of Trimurti Shiv. In bracket, it says Trimurti Shiv Vanshi. So it's in Hindi, actually, Vanshi means clan. So Baba started. Brahmins are called those who belong to the clan of Trimurti Shiv. That is Trimurti Shiv Vanshi. We are the children of the Trimurti father are also Trimurti. The father is Trimurti. Just as the father is Trimurti, are you also Trimurti in the same way? Have you had a vision of the three types of light? Do you know which light of the Brahmins other people have vision of? Do you realize that others have visions of light through you? People have visions of three types of light from the Trimurti children who belong to the clan of Trimurti Shiv. Which are those lights? One is a vision of light through your eyes. You speak of the light of the eyes. The eyes would appear to be as though there is a large illuminated bulb in each eye. We say eyeballs, eye. Second is the light on the forehead. And the third is the crown of light on your head. You now have to try to give others the vision of all three types of light. Anyone who comes in front of you should see these eyes as bulbs. They should only see light everywhere, just as real diamonds sparkle in the darkness. Just as a searchlight projects its beam in a very good way, with a lot of force, in the same way, people will have a vision of the light on the forehead. And you already understand about the crown of light on the head. Others should have a vision of the Trimurti light from each of you. Only then would it be said that you are angels. The vision of the eyes, the forehead, and the crown on the head will be very clear, even in the corporeal form. Whilst looking at your eyes, people will see only light. Looking at your light, others will also become light. No matter how much heaviness there is in their mind or in their stage, as soon as they come here, they should become light. You now have to reach such a stage because others will make their stage like this when they see your stage is this. So Baba is saying our stage has that much impact on others. They also become light. Because others will make their stage like this when they see your stage is this, means light. You will hear your praise of this time. The praise of the copper age is not a big thing. But when you become such images that grant visions in a practical form now, you will hear your praise of this time. When people come in front of you, they will see nothing but light. You have to become like this. Baba says, Madhuban itself will become a lighthouse. Whilst looking at these lamps, it will be as though they are not seeing them. Just as you see nothing but light in the subtle region. In the same way, the corporeal world will become a lighthouse. When you become living lighthouses, then Madhuban will also become a lighthouse. This is the last subject of the last study in a practical form. The theoretical course has finished, and it is now the last subject of the practical course. You will now have to make very fast effort in this last subject. It is this stage that is praise. The main method to apply a break to your thoughts is to surrender every task to Baba. What is the main method to apply a break to your thoughts? Do you know that? Baba has asked the question. And then Baba says, whatever task you carry out, before you begin that task, think about it first. Is it the task that I am about to carry out, the task of Bapdada? Am I just an instrument? Just as at the time when a sacrificial fire is being completed, sacrificial offerings are made, in the same way, whatever task you carried out and whatever the result was, once you have completely surrendered it to Baba, you should have no more thoughts about it. So, no more thoughts about the service is done through us, through an instrument. You carried out the task as an instrument. And as soon as the task was finished, you totally surrendered it to Baba. And so, why should you have any thoughts about it afterwards? Baba has questioned this. When something is put into a fire, no name or trace of it remains. In the same way, once it is completed, you have to totally surrender everything. Then it is no longer your responsibility. Whoever you offered it to becomes responsible for that. So why should you have any thoughts? When there is a senior person in a family, then whatever task everyone in the family carries out, they refer to the senior person and they become free. In the same way, whatever task you carried out, once you have related the news about it, that is enough. Keeping the object form in front of you, try this out and see for yourself. The more someone becomes cooperative with you, the more cooperation you have to give to that person. Just as you think about progress of the soul, in the same way, you can give any soul special cooperation in the form of extra help through good wishes and pure and positive thoughts for the self and for others. You should give this cooperation. They receive a lot of help through that. So Baba is teaching us the methods how to remain light. You see, it's important, this Baba's task. So give it to Baba and remain light. Means no heaviness, no thoughts. Whether there is success or not, it's just giving to Baba everything. And so remain light. And then, just as when a poor person suddenly receives something without having made any effort, in the same way, any soul you give cooperation to will feel he is being given extra cooperation. You saw the proof in the Sakar form of how a soul was given extra cooperation and how that soul experienced that cooperation. You have to do this service and show everyone. The more subtle you become, the more this subtle service will increase. Together with the corporeal, the subtle creates an impact very quickly for all the time. So is simultaneous. Baba says you do the physical as well as your subtle service simultaneously. The more subtle you become, the more this subtle service will increase Together with the corporeal, the subtle creates an impact very quickly for all the time. So any task you're performing, at the same time, your mind and intellect are serving the world, serving everything, purifying the nature, everything. And that is giving a cooperation. Baba said, and no other thoughts. When you don't have any other thoughts, then your pure good wishes. On the above paragraph, Baba said, good wishes and pure and positive thoughts for the self and for others. You should give this cooperation. They receive a lot of help through that. And so Baba is saying, while performing, even washing up or whatever you are doing is Baba's task, and you do this simultaneous for the self, for others. If you have other thoughts, you are not able to reach or give cooperation to the nature, to elements, or to other souls. So I think Baba is saying that. So Baba said, you have to do this service and show everyone. The more subtle you become, the more this subtle service will increase. Together with the corporeal, the subtle creates an impact very quickly for all the time. Bap Dada is also constantly giving special cooperation. You will have the experience of extra help. There will be less effort made and greater attainment. So if we do this, and then Baba says you will have the experience of extra help from Baba. Baba Dada is also constantly giving special cooperation. So that's beautiful. That's nice to underline, So you don't have this, I'm doing it, but Baba Dada is also constantly giving special cooperation. You will have the experience of extra help. There will be less effort made and greater attainment, not attachment, attainment. So less effort, greater attainment. Acha. Do children have as much imperishable love for Bap Dada as Bap Dada has for the children? Huh? Question mark. This imperishable love is the one thread which ties a bond for 21 births. So it's the imperishable love. And that too is of unbroken love. The stronger the thread is, the longer it will last. This confluence age ties everyone. It ties everything for 21 births. Each thought and each action of this confluence age accumulates in the bank for 21 births. You have to create thoughts whilst paying this much attention. It's in the inverted commas. Baba is saying, pay attention to whatever I do will accumulate. And so I will accumulate so much. Not a single thought should be wasted. When even one thought is wasted, there is no accumulation. So when you have to accumulate, you must not waste even one thought. You have to make so much effort, let alone time. Your thoughts should not be wasted either. Effort is now reaching this level. Just as education reaches a higher level day by day, so it is the same here. You are now studying in a higher class. Acha? Now Baba is talking with the groups. When the vision changes, the world changes. It is remembered that a world was created through vision. Through which vision is a world created, and when is it created? In the scriptures, it says that Brahma had a thought and the world was created. And so we all Brahmins had the same thought. And so it's like Dada Lekhraj, you know, Brahma Baba, before he became Brahma Baba, before he was Dada Lekhraj, he often had this thought. And Jasoda Maya, Baba's Yugal, often said, when would God come? There's so much sorrow. They used to read Gita sincerely every day and did the bhakti with so much love and devotion. And they had this thought how to help the world. And so, you know, so Baba is in scriptures, that is that memorial that we all had this thought. It is remembered that a world was created through vision. Sankalp se Srishti in Hindi. Through which vision is a world created? And when is it created? Why is there the praise of the vision and the world? Why is there not the praise of the mouth? Is this the praise of the thought? What is it that you transform first at the confluence age? What is the first lesson you are taught? Baba says, to see one another with the vision of brotherhood. The vision of brotherhood means that when you first transform your vision, everything else also changes. This is why it is remembered that a world was created through vision. When there is the vision of brotherhood, it is then that the world changes. It is only then that you see this world as an old world. When you see the soul, it is then that you see this world as old. So the world is created through vision, and the main effort lies in this. If your vision changes, then your stage and circumstances also change. This is why there is the praise of the vision and the world. Worldly vision changes into spiritual vision. Just as when someone is wearing colored glasses, Baba is giving an analogy, example. Just as when someone is wearing colored glasses, means spectacles, the entire world appears to be that color. In the same way, when your vision becomes spiritual, then you just see spirits in the entire world. For how long do you have this experience of seeing the world with this vision in a natural way? Baba is asking, in a natural way. As you were told, when you are wearing red glasses, you do not have to make any effort, but everything naturally seems red. In the same way, do you see the world in a spiritual way with a spiritual vision that is natural? At the moment, this is maintained only temporarily, but you have to practice it to maintain it for all the time. This is the main effort. By changing your vision, your virtues and actions automatically change. You then do not have to change each virtue individually. You now have to make this effort. So Baba showed us the easy method. Just change the vision totally and everything. No effort is required for each and every virtue or powers to imbibe. You have now moved forward a great deal. If you first change yourself, the world will automatically change. So now create this enthusiasm. Create the world with spiritual vision. The more you remain in this enthusiasm, the more you will be able to create this enthusiasm in others. Then, just as a needle by itself comes closer to a magnet, so service will automatically come close to all of you. There will be less effort and greater success. At present, you make effort for a longer period of time, and you attain success according to your worthiness and capacity. In order to be successful in service, create this yukti. So Baba is showing us the tactics or yukti, easy method. Is it better that you attain success in service easily, or that you receive fruit through effort? Easy attainment and elevated fruit is better. So start this plan in a practical way. So Baba is talking to us just now, to us right now. So we can start this plan. Is up to each one, Baba says, and start plan in a practical way. So Baba is speaking to us now, right now, and asking us and showing us the easy method. So with that, with a godly student and with in front of Baba right now, taking that extra tuition, start this homework. You were told how to become an example for anything. That is, when you yourselves have the stage of being a detached observer. Those who are an example will remain in the stage of a detached observer. Those who remain sakshi, a detached observer, give makhi, honey, sweetness. So Baba is rhyming. Makhi is a Sindhi word. In Gujarati we say mud. And then Hindi is what?
I think bad as well.
No, I forgot. But anyway, but makhi means honey. In English word is honey. And overall is sweetness. So Baba is saying, if you remain, those who remain sakshi, a detached observer, give honey, means sweetness, means when you are a detached observer, you are sweet to everyone. Today's Sakar Murli was like that, wasn't it? Not to say such words that hurt others. Be sweet. So for that, you remain detached. You don't judge anybody. And so here also Baba is saying, those who are an example will remain in the stage of a detached observer. Those who remain sakshi, a detached observer, give makhi, that's a Sindhi word for honey, sweetness. The stage of a detached observer is like that of a bee, honeybee. That is the giving of sweetness, which in itself has an attraction. So now you have to show a sparkle of that. And then Baba says, in order to become complete. So now Malaben asked about complete and angel. So light, angels are light. And also this is the light wearing the crown of light crown, not heaviness. That was Baba was talking there, that surrender everything to Baba, whatever you have done or anything, don't become heavy. There Baba's meaning was that. Here Baba is explaining, in order to become complete, you have to be easy and light in your relationships and your sanskars and in giving and taking cooperation. Check in which aspects you are light and in which aspects you are heavy. The lighter you yourself are, the lighter you will be able to make others also. How can those who are themselves heavy make others light? You have to be easy and light in your relationships with others and be easy in your sanskars too, also in your sanskars. You have to be easy in giving and taking cooperation too, also. If there is heaviness in giving and taking cooperation, then you will not be able to take the benefit of the cooperation you receive. So Baba also here pointed out, worth underlining, if there is heaviness in giving and taking cooperation, then you will not be able to take the benefit of the cooperation you receive. And remember, Baba said, Bab Dada also give us cooperation, so and help. So Baba says, you won't experience the benefit. What will you do now? Everyone has to remember the mantra. I have to remain easy in every aspect. The easier you remain, the more you can attain. You will be able to take cooperation from everyone. Everyone remains easy with those who are themselves easy. They are easy in giving and also in taking. Those who remain heavy are heavy when it comes to giving cooperation too, means also. So give cooperation and take cooperation. But how? By being easy. This is the main mantra in order to become complete. So, by being easy is the main mantra in order to become complete. Do you wish to become the perfect image, or doesn't it matter if there are some weaknesses still remaining? Bap Dada has asked the question to us. Do you wish to become the perfect image, or doesn't it matter if there are some weaknesses still remaining? Only after you have become perfect will you have to bring the body to an end. So I think this is angelic and the karmatic, I think Baba is. Only after you have become perfect will you have to bring the body to an end. When you are easy in this way, you will then be able to bring your body to an end according to your own will. Acha, Om Shanti. It was a beautiful Murli. It's finished. There's another Murlis like that I was trying to say, but it's long.
Would anyone like to share their reflections?
Shanti. It's the discussion we had this morning, how to become complete, what we need to do. And that was it was very nice, really. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shanti. What I was thinking with the Murli, Baba saying, yes, we have to become actually just light, to be light. And, you know, I always reflect in the foundation course that the first lesson will really be the last lesson that we need to be the embodiment of. And as Ranjan Ben was reading, you know, when Baba says, I was thinking that when we come to Baba, I think most of us, if not all, would have come to this realization. Baba talks about realization of Baba. So, but maybe we have not all have this self-realization, even though you feel, or I feel that I would have had self-realization. To have complete self-realization, meaning that you are the embodiment of the soul and soul awareness. And it's now that I'm realizing that, yes, I would have said, yes, I have self-realization. Baba often talks about self-realization within a second. And yes, I believe it is more a matter of knowledge that I'm recognizing that yes, I have the knowledge that I am soul, but have I truly self-realized that I am a soul? Because that will really bring me to a total awareness that this is who I am. This being that is the embodiment of what Baba is saying, I am light. And it is in that awareness as others will be able to see you constantly like that. And when that vision, because as you're saying, you have the vision of what you want, but that vision will come, or shouldn't just come on that intellectual level or knowledge level, but on a deep level of self-realization, then automatically that is going to be there. So for me, it's really working on this deeper level of going into self-realization. So the awareness will always be there. That when others see me, automatically, right, they may not understand it fully, but they will recognize there's a difference and there will be an impact, right? Without you wanting to impact, it will automatically happen. So my thing here is really this self-realization. Baba is there. Yes, we know who Baba is, and you realize who Baba is. But what is really important in moving forward and having this vision or creating this vision is really self-realization. And so this came strong to me when Ranjan Ben was reading this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, beautifully put. Thank you, sister. Absolutely, totally agree. Shanti Maria Ben.
Shanti. Sorry about the noise. I just came from a meeting, as you know, about the wars that are going on. And as you know, in the same way that the UK has a new prime minister, also in Italy, we are waiting for the new government, which will be a rightist government. And there has been a meeting of ambassadors and ex-politicians to see what to do about the ongoing war and the relationship with Russia. As you know, the sister in Ukraine, Sister Olga, has sent an appeal to meditate every evening, their time from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., just to give some sakash to the victims in the ongoing war, because there was an explosion this weekend. And so there are now lots of discussions. Of course, we know it is a confluence age, and as Ranjan Ben was reading, there are the confluence age is a valuable diamond age, and as Daddy Janki always reminds us, one meeting in the confluence age is equal to 1 year. So it is so precious that we should count every second. And so the thankfulness that in the confluence age we can meet God Himself we will not meet him in paradise. And so we should take pleasure in the fact that we can have a direct relationship with God at the moment. So it's so precious. And as Baba was mentioning, a bank, it's like we are investing for 21 births. So it's so important, this particular age, and it will repeat every 5,000 years. So more valuable than this, I do not see any other precious time as a confluence age. Om Shanti, and I hope you can hear my voice even with all of the noise. I am in Florence, near the city hall. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Yes, we could hear you very
Yes,
clearly.
we could hear. And I think you have a lady Prime Minister as well, isn't it?
Yes, that's who she. I think what struck me overall is this centrality of the vision. So I'm going to practice this week on the Trimurti lights. So as Ranjan Ben was reading, I was visualizing her eyes as light bulbs, the light in her forehead. And I like this addition, seeing the crown on the head behind, like a halo, on the head as well. So I'm going to carry on that practice. And of course, scientists will classify humans in the animal kingdom. And I don't know if you already all know this, but humans are the only animal, according to the scientific classification, where the main sense organ are the eyes. In every other animal, nearly every other animal, it's the nose. Because most animals use smell to identify, navigate, like mainly. Maybe some of you have had pets or have pets, and you know it's the nose that counts with animals. But humans are considered a unique animal because our main sense organ is the eye. And then hearing this thing about the lights, but then in that group meeting as well, that you will change when your vision changes. The world will change when your vision changes. Because for a human, it really is all about the eyes. Judy Ben, you've come on screen. Did you want to come in?
I'm sorry, Om Shanti. I am also interested in those 8 hours. I know that I feel as if Baba is with me all the time because I remember him so much in the songs. The songs stay in my head all the time, all during the day. I'm remembering the songs. But I'm interested in the 8 hours as well because I keep telling myself, with Maya trying to chase after us and hold on to us, how are we going to become karmatit? So the 8 hours, I'm also so interested in finding out more about how we can actually be able to accumulate the 8 hours every day.
Let's take that up as next Saturday's topic, and everyone can churn and think and experiment and come back with some ideas. I would say what you're doing is right and good. You see, my understanding of the 8 hours is initially we got to just keep ourselves in thoughts of knowledge, thoughts of Baba, and make that 8 hours. And then the topic Baba's taken up this week around concentration, we then have to transform that 8 hours into 8 hours of concentrated yoga. So initially, we've got to just make sure our mind is not going into other things. So it's not about making the mind very concentrated necessarily. Even churning knowledge, listening to Baba's songs, all of that will be part of that 8 hours, and that's good. But then, like the Sister Ambika was saying, that Sister Mira was pointing out, what's the level of yoga I need to burn away sins? And my understanding is that you then need the 8 hours of concentration in order to really generate that fire of yoga, so that 63 births of burden gets incinerated quickly. So it might be that within the 8 hours, the actual concentration is only 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So the idea is that we build that concentration up. So let's dedicate a session to it rather than just mention it now. So wonderful. Thank you, those of you that were able to join, and thanks for your contribution and your questions. Also, warm regards to all of you that join in later on through YouTube. We think of you just as much as well. And let's focus on this topic of the lights, the Trimurti lights, transforming the vision, and try and accumulate, if not 8 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours of that practice. Let's see what happens. So, Om Shanti, everyone. Have a great week.
Om Shanti. Thank you very much.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.